Hello and welcome to my February Wrapped. So this is everything that happened in February that I didn't really show on the Melbourne Diaries. I'm trying to keep some difference between the two, so I'm not rehashing everything that you've already seen or heard. So with life updates, pretty much this month the main thing was the mushroom trip. That I guess was the biggest event. Otherwise it was a very decent month. There was no real grief, loss or anything like that, and just overall, I'd say it's a bit more quiet, a bit more humdrum, and I'm absolutely fine with that. Now, onto the things I watched, did, consumed, all that jazz. With TV, I did watch quite a few shows. So I did watch the new Queer Eye. Queer Eye is a feel-good show for me. I love watching it. I'm a bit obsessed with Anthony. He's so bloody gorgeous. But my favorite one was probably the bisexual former nun. That was my favorite episode to watch. I've also been watching Death and Other Details, mostly for Mandy Patinkin. This is decent. It's a mystery set on a yacht with a lot of rich people. Beautiful outfits there. It's fine. There's just something keeping it from being great, but it passes the time quite well. Now on to movies. So we watched the entire Twilight saga. My eldest V wanted to watch them, my God. So I was not a Twilight fan back in the day. I think it's just because my idea of vampires are very different to what Twilight portrayed. So I was more into Buffy and Interview with the Vampire and things like that. Every time my neighbors walk past, they have to like stare right in at me. Okay. And I just found, even watching it today, the relationships in that are so toxic. So I had to have a discussion with Kiddo afterwards to let her know, like, hey, if your partner's doing and saying these kinds of things and acting that way, that's not healthy. It's so funny too, that obviously back in the day, I guess Edward, and for me, Jasper, were the cuties. But as a much older woman, I was like, hello, Carlisle. Carlisle. How you doing? I was like, I'm vibing with the daddy this time around. But yeah, not bad. So at least there's some eye candy for me. But yeah, Twilight's just not my thing. We also watched the Marvels. So there hasn't been a good Marvel movie in a while, I'd say. And this one felt like it should have just been a straight to video kind of movie with, the three different iterations of Miss Marvel. I don't know, guys, it just didn't do anything for me. It was a bit meh. Oh, I just gotta readjust myself. My legs go dead very easy. So then we watched Wish, and this was also very meh, very kind of humdrum. It reminded me a little bit of Tangled and a little bit of Encanto maybe. Like, it's just wasn't memorable in terms of being its own unique, authentic movie, even though it was meant to be a new original story. It just felt a bit basic, and the only character that we really loved in this was the star. So if it wasn't for the star, we probably would have hated the movie, to be honest. The star raised it up to mediocrity for us. Then I went and saw Argyle on my own, and this was a letdown as well. Normally I really love like campy spy movies. Love them. They make me laugh. This one did not have enough comedy in it for me. And also, false advertising. You think, based on the trailer, that Henry Cavill, Dua Lipa, and John Cena are main players in the movie. They're not. And they're very sorely missed. I absolutely wish they were a bigger part of it. So look, there's a cat in there and that's cool, but once again, kind of average movie for me. And then we watched Wonka, and once again, it was okay. Look, in my house, we're not big musical lovers in general, unless the music is really bomb. In this case, not really for us. We just didn't, I don't know, this is supposed to be a Wonka origin story, I guess, but for us, Wonka is Gene Wilder. Wonka is sarcastic. Wonka is crazy. Okay, Wonka is someone that you just can't figure out. Are they a good guy? Are they a bad guy? Are they messing with you? Are they being serious? I love Gene Wilder's iteration of Wonka. I felt like it's true to the character that Roald Dahl created. Roald Dahl doesn't make, besides Miss Honey, I would say, super nice, lovely characters. His characters all have a bit of grit, a bit of edge, a bit of darkness to them. So this Wonka, though, was just all sugar, sunshine, and rainbows, and he's too sweet. I know it's Timothy Chalamet, so I'm sure a lot of tweens and teenagers love that, even though I think Chalamet is like 30 now, so maybe more my generation. But yeah, it just also didn't have enough humor. It wasn't funny enough. Even though it had a great cast and acting, it just, I don't know, it was a bit rebs, bruh. And then I watched The People We Hate at the Wedding, and this was okay. This is kind of a rom-com, but more on the serious drama side, with a family who has a half-sibling who's getting married, and they all had a falling out, and they're all dysfunctional, and they're all got their own issues, and they rock up at the wedding and they cause a ruckus. But it was, you know, it's sweet, and it was entertaining, and it was fun. And then I read Dream Scenario with Nicolas Cage. Wow, man. It's a very weird, odd, unsettling movie. Nick Cage does a great job at playing his very like loserish character. It's like, wow, well done, Nicholas. It's a story where all of a sudden everyone starts dreaming about this professor, and in the dreams at first he's not really doing much, so it becomes a bit of a media sensation, but then the dreams turn violent. So in the dreams, this avatar of himself is brutally killing and slaughtering people. So then in the real world, everyone starts to hate him and they start to lash out at him, and his life is pretty much destroyed. So really interesting, real weird. Yeah, so that was like all of the movies and TV shows I watched this month. Nothing really stellar or stand out. Some things absolutely fine, some things a bit eh. Now onto books. So I read a total of 39 books this month. 9 of those were DNFs, and I think 4 in total were audiobooks. I'm not a big fan of audiobooks. I prefer paper or e-reader, but if my library gets the audio to me quicker, I'll take it. I would say my favorite book this month was the Door-to-Door bookstore. It, like I said, is very reminiscent of the movie Up, because you have an old guy named Carl and a young girl named Shasha, and she comes in and puts a kink in his very ordered life, but she adds a lot of brightness and love to it that he didn't have there before. But he just goes around delivering books to people. There is one part of the book that is quite violent and hard to read, and it did kind of mess with the very cozy, low stakes vibes the book was otherwise giving. It was a very just sweet, wholesome book, and then this one thing happens and I got thrown for a loop, and all of a sudden you're hitting all of these like very sad, angry notes, but then it ends back on that wholesome, cozy tone. So interesting. I guess the author wanted to shake things up a bit and show you that sometimes in life horrible things happen to good people. But otherwise, it was my favorite book. It was a 5-star read for me. In terms of the favorite cover, there were a lot of books with beautiful covers this month, but if I had to pick one, it would be Briefly A Delicious Life. It does remind me of a, sort of melancholic painting, and the story itself is about a teenage bisexual ghost who died in a monastery and then just watches all the people that move into this monastery over time. And then she falls in love with a woman who dresses like a man and her family that come to live there, and for once finds herself wanting to really engage back with the physical and the people in life. It was lovely, but like I said, very melancholic, very bittersweet, but interesting, quite interesting. Music, I think the only new song that I liked this month was Oh My God by Adele. I do love Adele's voice, and I did like this song. Cafe. So for my favorite place that I went to, it was Poodle Bar and Bistro. So that is a kind of like French restaurant I went to on Valentine's Day, and I mostly was by myself for, but beautiful ambiance, great service, and the food was absolutely delicious and not insanely priced. We ended up getting a 4-course meal for I think $80 per person, which is fine, but it's somewhere I will absolutely go back to in the future. I think it's a great place to take a date as well. The favorite meal I had was also from Poodle Bar and Bistro, and they were these truffle mushroom profiteroles. Just the pastry was perfect. The creamy mushroom filling was gorgeous, and it had a glaze on top, and they were just chef's kiss. I haven't made any new recipes, so I have been on a bit of a slump in terms of cooking. I just make the basics all the time, and I haven't ventured out and tried to make anything new. I'm hoping to turn that around this month. I've got some recipe books lined up, and I want to get back into it. I used to be obsessed with cooking back in the day. It was one of my hobbies, my favorite thing to do, and I was always trying new recipes and baking new things, and then I don't know, life just kind of came along and it's just pushed to the wayside. But I don't know, I'm hoping to sort of hopefully re-spark that interest, or at the very least just cook myself some interesting things that I haven't had before. With the garden, my ex has expanded the wildflower area, so I have planted some more seeds because I'm trying to increase that area so there's less lawn to mow. At the moment we have some everlasting daisies that have bloomed. But yes, I've just planted some more wildflowers and we'll see. It's hard to tell what they're going to be like because it's just a mix and I don't know which mixes I prefer over the others. So I just got a whole bunch of different types of wildflower mixes and we'll see how that goes and how that spreads out. But a lot was cleared in the backyard this month. A lot of bushes and that removed because we had a huge mosquito problem, just infestation, and I don't want to spray. So we tried to get rid of the dampness and the areas that they could proliferate. And I'm going to be then planting a lot of things like lemon balm and I think catnip or catmint, things that are meant to naturally deter mosquitoes. And also I'm about to replant into the veggie beds because my ex cleared them out so that we can plant new things in them. So purchases that you haven't seen this month on my Melbourne diaries, I got a pair of cat earrings. So I had to have one pair of cat earrings and these are the ones that I selected. I also got myself a bit of a gothic choker. I was actually looking more for like a crucifix, but I didn't like the quality of the crucifixes, rosaries, whatever they're called, that I found. But then I saw this choker and I thought that was kind of cool, so I went with the choker. But I am still looking for a rosary. I also got this Starbucks mug. I couldn't help myself. It's cats and hearts and it's a big mug. I love very big mugs. I don't want to have like a small cup of tea or whatever it is I'm drinking. I want a bowl of it. And this just fit the bill. It's gorgeous. And I don't normally like to buy things from big chain stores like Starbucks, but it was cute, man. So I'm going to enjoy my tea in it. So in terms of decks, I did not purchase any new decks this month, but I did have a ton of decks that I had pre-ordered both from mass market companies like Rockpool and also from Kickstarter arrive. So it was quite a busy month in terms of the amount of decks that I worked with and then obviously the amount that I crocheted. So without much further ado, let's look at all of my decks and crochet for this month of February. Okay, welcome to the deck and crochet portion. So I'll start with the squares. As always, I use up my extra yarn to make some squares for a future blanket. So the next thing that I made was this top with Camilla Batik in 0104. Didn't like it. I didn't like it. So yeah, will not be wearing that top, and I'm just taking a break from making clothing for a little bit, obviously after that. So let's start with Gentle Chaos. So this was the original box, which I absolutely hate. The guidebook was wedged in here and then you got this plastic thing and it goes in there. I didn't like it. I don't know what this is, but let's not do this anymore. So this is a mass market deck. So this is a little bag I made. I did this little seashell button. I know it's got nothing to do with the deck, but it's a chaos deck. So that's what I did. This yarn is Life in the Long Grass in the color Chirp, and I did it in Trinity Stitch just to do a little cute little bag. Okay, so let's take a look at this deck, okay? So this is the guidebook. So this was a mass market deck. It's full color gloss, so that's great. There's not a lot to it. As you can see, like some of them is literally one paragraph. Sometimes they have a bit of poems in there, but it's very, very basic in terms of the guidebook. Sorry, there's always cat hair on my desk. These are the backs. I don't love anything that has lettering on it. That's just my personal opinion. It's got very glittery matte gold edging, which I do like. I think that's beautiful. The cardstock is a satin cardstock, but I didn't notice this when I first looked at it. I'm going to show you what I paired it with. So I ended up pairing this with the Daily Crystals Oracle because I needed something to clarify the readings, and I'll talk more about that in a second. Sorry about my voice. I'm having a bit of a flare-up. These are off-center. And I don't know why I didn't notice the first time, but as you can see, it's not in the middle. And that's pretty shitty. Thanks to the person, I'll put their name out here, who brought it to my attention. But yeah, these are actually off-center. It is what it is. I love the Queen of the Night. That's been very prevalent for me. So with this deck, I find that it is kind of a bit chaotic. It's a little bit of a wild card deck. There's a bit of cheeky, almost pan-like energy to it. And I guess that's too because the creator kind of has that kind of energy as well. So that's how I found the energy of the deck. I always have to look up the meanings though, because I don't have an association with all of these cards. And therefore I have to say like, okay, what is the actual meaning of this particular card? But I needed a clarifier, and this is a very direct clarifier. Like literally, I don't even have to read more. It just says it like, find your calm. And I find that it really worked well with this particular deck, and it made sometimes the meanings make more sense. Like it gave it something to apply it to, because otherwise like this is, yeah, it's a little odd. I did just tend to use these two together. I didn't want to use this with anything else because it just muddled things. Whereas, like I said, this with a very clear clarifier worked. This is one of my favorite images, the chocolate rabbit. But yes, it's one of those decks I do constantly have to go into the guidebook for to figure it out. So it's cute. I'm keeping it for now. You know, I'm not in love with it. I do love the photography. I think it is beautiful. And like I said, it's very quirky. It is a very quirky deck. So it is very interesting in that way. It's not like, you know, other decks. It does its own thing, absolutely. But I don't know. I'm not absolutely head over heels in love with it, but I do like it. So I do like this deck. But yes, the off-center printing is a bit disappointing, because it's noticeable for me now, like it's off kilter. But I guess this deck is also off kilter. You know? Maybe it just suits the energy of the deck, right? Just some more of that. But yes, this deck really helped me understand this one and utilize it in a better way. So yes, I do enjoy it, but it's probably something that I won't take out super frequently. It'll just be when I'm, I guess, in that kind of trickster chaotic energy, I might bring it out so it can like speaks to like. But yes, this was the Gentle Chaos Pocket Oracle, and I originally saw this thanks to Krista from Krista Chronicles. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even known this existed. Okay, so the next deck was the Anam-Chara Oracle. This was a box. So it's a lovely box. It's got a linen finish to it. For some reason I don't like the purple on the inside, but it's got this very lovely, almost coppery, rose goldy foiling on it. So this was part of a Rockpool pre-order. But first up, here's the bag. So we've got glittery. Unfortunately, my yarn pulled and I couldn't thread it back through the hole. So I was like, it's just going to stay that way. But it's very sparkly and reminds me of the box. So this is 24 mile hollow yarn. This is a merino, nylon and silk blend. And I did this in shell stitch. And the color of this yarn is called Resting Peach Face. So here is the guidebook. Once again, it's got that linen texture cover. And then you've got the book, which is full color, and it's got a matte paper. So Anam-Charas are, in Celtic culture, a soul friend, invisible confidant, or spirit advisor. So I did do the spreads. Some of them, even though they've got names that are kind of themed, the subjects are kind of basic. So this says it's Anam-Chara spread, but it's just a 1-card daily pull, you know. So only some of them were themed, like obviously the seasons ones is specific. The write-ups are fantastic. So you've got some keywords, you've got like this sentence or affirmation, whatever you want to call it, the meaning, and then an action as well. So I thought this was really well written. Overall, this was a very kind of spiritual like deck. So these are the backs. They're okay. It's just, you know, some Celtic imagery. It's got that, I'd say this definitely feels more like a copper color on the edging. It's the sharp kind of one. Mine's a little bit bowed. I don't even riffle shuffle. And the cardstock is a matte cardstock, quite thick, but I don't mind that kind of cardstock. So I paired this with the, I always forget the name of this one, Soul Flower Plant Spirit Oracle, because I just thought they went really well together. For some reason, this deck feels like it correlates with plant energy quite a bit. But like I said, it is more spiritual leaning. So this is the card. I don't mind the borders. I don't love them though, especially like these little bits down here. My eye always gets caught on them. But they've even got a little sentence there on the front. So I guess if you didn't even want to read the meaning, you could just take the sentence down here as it is. But I find, once again, with this one, I really wanted to get into the guidebook to understand it a little better, because this didn't really give me a lot of clarity But together also, these were fantastic. So both of them are quite detailed in their meanings. So this together, they were a very meaty reading for me, but they were very soul worky. I guess is what I would say. I have a lot of brain fog is today. So excuse my lack of eloquence. But I did really enjoy them. I love, the illustrations are just so sweet. Okay, this one's not as cute. It's a little old guy, but like they've got in some of them just these little quirky, almost childhood picture book type characters. This one reminds me of The Little Prince. And there's like this fantastical, innocent energy to it. And look at that little hedgehog. So it's a very like nurturing, sweet deck for me. Look, literally a fairy tale image right here with Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf and Dandelion and Release. So I have been called to, my yaya told me during my trip that I need to add some dandelion to my diet. But it's just so incredibly adorable, and I am actually surprised by how much I loved it. So this was a pre-order that I had done obviously last year, totally forgot about it, and was a total like blind shot in the dark, because I don't even think at that point they had more pictures than just that one picture of the box with like, I think they do 3 cards on it, so they didn't have any expanded imagery. I love it. So it was an absolute punt and it paid off. I just find it really delightful. And like I said, it's not just surface level. The meanings are really well written, and like I said, it is quite, there's depth to it. You can do, quite extensive work with it. But just the art is just so bloody gorgeous. I am in love with it. And even though it's got the childlike stuff for me, I don't really use it as an inner child deck. It's more just, like I said, spirit work, soul work kind of thing. But just it makes it easier to digest when it's shown in this very cute storybook kind of way. And I'm such a big advocate of picture books, not just for children, but for adults too. I'd say if you're an adult, just go to your library and just grab a picture book. Like, you don't have to stop reading them just because you grew up. I find they deliver beautiful meanings and lessons in such a magical way. And it's just so much easier to assimilate that information. But I loved these two together. And I think this is probably, out of all of the decks that came in, the one I looked forward to the most using, which is so surprising because this isn't my aesthetic. To be honest with you, it's not my aesthetic, but it was the one that I connected with the most this time around. So this was, the Anam Chara Oracle. Okay, so next up we have Seasons of the Witch Letha. So it's got this beautiful purple foiling on the box, and this is the inside. But otherwise, it's a very typical standard box. So this is the bag. So I've done this in Malabrego in Rios. I find Malabrego is a great affordable yarn. So if you don't want to spend a ton of money, Malabrego, beautiful. This is in the color Sabiduria. And I also did this in Shell Stitch. So Shell Stitch had a bit of a revival this month. I just think it's very pretty. So this is a book. Once again, this was a Rockpool pre-order. The only one I have of this is, I want to say Beltane. But if it's not, I'll put it up, what I actually have. But I was drawn to this one because the sun element was so strong in this. But this particular one is mostly about finances. So money abundance, financial abundance, which I did not realize. So I was like, I did the spreads, which, are great, but I found the absolute best spread was the Money Magic Letha Cross. I thought, this is fantastic. The questions, the prompts that they had for each of the positions, I thought that was fantastic. And then I read through the thing and I'm like, okay. So the main focus of this one is about prosperity and working through your money issues. So the paper is matte, full color, but it's beautifully illustrated. It's just very pretty to look at. You've got the title, keywords, a little paragraph, and then the bigger area. Some of them also have little bits at the end. This one has a presence practice, but not every card has something at the end. Like some cards don't have practices at the end of them. This one has a spell there, and that one has a prompt. So, see, this one didn't have anything. This one was just the Green Witch there. But well written, as always, and it's a good guidebook. So these are the backs. This one was done in the color purple. I like the backs. I think they're pretty. It's got a purple shiny edging. I think all of these decks have really colorful edging, which is really lovely. It's on the glossy cardstock though, which I'm not a fan of. It is a thinner stock though, so it's got more flexibility, but I'll just quickly pair it with what I paired it with. So I paired this one with the, oh, that's too thick for me, the Playful Heart Tarot, because I just want something to lighten it up. For some reason, I find that these decks in this series can be a bit intense in their energy, like a bit serious for some reason. I don't know why, it just is. So I wanted something to sort of alleviate that seriousness, and the Playful Heart does that for me. It's also got like a lot of floral elements in there, and this one does too. But like, yes, this one has a lot of sun cards, and that's what I was really looking for, because I am a sun witch and resonate with the sun's energy and magic, and so I wanted one that has lots of sun energy in it. I did use it obviously besides finance related readings, and I still thought it was pretty good. I didn't love it per se, like for some reason I just wasn't completely enamored with it. But I think the illustrations, this is the one I got the most. So lean to the essence of receiving, for there await the things you've been telling yourself are out of reach. So I guess this deck really wants me to receive and allow myself to receive what I need. I do, yes, once again, I think I was talking about the art style. I think the art style is beautiful, and the cards themselves are absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, I wish they hadn't gone with the glossy cardstock, and so all the cards could have been in a different cardstock, but what can you do? This one, it's got the cottagecore kind of vibe, but it's got a dark cottagecore vibe, I think. It's more of a darker hues in this one. It's a bit more muted, and there's a coziness to it. But I love the ones that do have the practices at the end. I just feel like it's great when you can actively participate in the card's meaning rather than just have it be a kind of cerebral and spiritual thing. You can actually make it into a physical experience. But I think this one, I need to work with it a bit more. Because I had so many decks at once, it was that kind of case of too much. And one of them I connected to more than the others, so I think I might have favorited the Anam Chara a bit and didn't reach for this one as much. But like I said, I think it is stunning, and I'm glad I have it. And for a mass market deck, it's fantastic. And I do look forward to using it a bit more and getting a read of more of the cards and their meanings. But it's so pretty, and I think it's a really like palatable deck for a lot of people. But yeah, a specific money magic card there. But yes, this was the Seasons of the Witch Letha Oracle. And yeah, this will be staying in my collection. Okay, next up we have the other pre-order from Rockpool. This one has a rose petal finish on the cover, and it's also got the red foiling. I think it's beautiful. And that's the box. So this box, out of all of the Rockpool boxes that I got, this one was my absolute favorite out of them. So this is the bag I made. This is Great Southern Yarn in the color Anemone, and I did this in Suzette Stitch. So probably if I had black and red, I would have done black and red, but instead I kind of went for the colors that in the actual deck itself. So here is the cover. It's a glossy front page, and then it's full color matte paper. So this one is about poisonous plants, but I find that this is almost like an archetype deck. It's mostly, I guess, used, you could, once again, it's got the layouts, but it's just a single card spread, but they call it Athame. So I did all of them. Once again, with this one, the Cauldron was probably my favorite. But with this one, the way it's structured is a bit unique. So you've got this bit over here, so you've got the name, then you've got energy, which is almost like keywords as well, but the energy of the deck, I guess, the traditional medicinal uses and the magical uses. And then you've got the poison and the antidote, but it talks about the plant as if it's a person. So like characteristics of what they're like, and sort of the shadow aspect and the light aspect. And so I was like, oh, okay, let me read what they mean by that. And they did clarify that, yes, these represent characters that they embody and behaviors that they embody. And what they recommend is to read both the poison and the antidote, and to see if there's anything that makes you uncomfortable. That could be something that is showing you need to work on it, a sticky point, or obviously anything that resonates with you as well. But for me, I feel like a lot of people would probably also use this when pulling cards about people, perhaps, because it is so personalized and characterized in that way. I'll talk about it a bit more in a second. So these are the backs, which I love. I think they're stunning, beautiful. I love that it's got this matte but glossy red edging. So stunning. This is on a matte cardstock. And for me, I paired it with the, that's too many, Obsidian Oracle, because I just wanted something dark and moody to go with this one, because there is it's a nighttime energy to this deck. So there is just a little phrase on the front. You could just use it that way. But once again, this was a deck that I wanted to go into the guidebook for, to read more about it, to see, am I feeling like the antidote light aspects are resonating, or more of the, you know, shadowy, poisonous ones. I use this more as like, what do I need to work on right now? What is like something that I should be putting my energy on, or what is something about myself that needs some love and attention? Or I even might say, what is the energy of today, because it does have that energy part right here, or like in terms of like, what's the energy of this situation? Or you can use it specifically with a person, like reveal more about like this person in this situation to me, so you can sort of see maybe what they're feeling, what they're going through, so you can get a greater appreciation and empathy for another party in that situation. But this one definitely just feels overall a bit more shadow worky to me. I really like the illustration styles. Obviously the cards are all similar in that it just features a figure with the plant around it, so they don't vary that much, but I do like them. I think they're really beautiful. I think the guidebook is well done. I think it's one of those ones where maybe some people would be put off by how it's written, but I really enjoy it. I feel like it probably does call you out. You'd be like, you know, what is my energy right now? Or, you know, what am I attracting right now? And then it's just like straight up telling you, you know, restriction has led to an obsession with food. So I think maybe some people might be triggered by it, but I am not. And I'm like, yep, okay. That rings true to me, or whatever the meaning was. And I appreciate it, you know. So it's one of those decks that I would keep in my collection, because it sort of fits that bit more harsh truths niche, you know. But it's also got that plant element, and I have an affinity with plants and plants' properties and magic and medicinal uses. So I really appreciate that aspect in there as well. So it's not only got the magical properties of plants, but it's got the medicinal ones that will help your actual physical body. But this deck also was the one that told me, you know, do the mushroom trip now. Because I was like, what do I need right now? Like, what would benefit me the most? And I got the psilocybin mushroom one. And the key word for that is surrender. So I was like, okay, it's happening. It's telling me, you know, I need to do this, so I'm going to do this. But yeah, I really enjoy it. I'm definitely keeping it in. I think it could be used in a variety of ways. I haven't played with it enough to figure them all out. So this is the card I got for the Liberty Cap. And this one's basically, yeah, about unlocking things that are hidden in your subconscious and your intuition. It's going into your own mind to bring it forth. But also the surrender part is important, especially when tripping, to allow everything to unfold as it is, and to allow your higher self to sort of steer the boat and take charge. But yeah, so I will also be keeping this one in my collection, and that is the Deadly Apothecary Oracle. Okay, so here we've got a Kickstarter deck. So I bought a 3-set volume. We've got Herbs and Garden Magic, Gemstone and Crystal Magic, Fauna and Familiar Magic. So I'll just show you the box again. So this was a Kickstarter deck. So the boxes are magnetic closure. They've got spot gloss on the front. It's beautiful, beautiful quality. So the production quality of this deck is fantastic. So I'll quickly show you the guidebook, just one of them because they're all the same. They have gold glitter edging, sprayed edges on them. It's got a satin sort of cover, and the paper is matte and full color. So you might have seen that in my walkthrough, I did mention that some of the writing is very hard to read. It's just too dark, and I did struggle, and I've got good eyesight in terms of like reading up close. The creator already contacted me and also notified everybody that they are having the guidebooks reprinted so that you can actually see the writing, and you just need to pay for the shipping of them. I'm personally not going to get the guidebooks. I found that the cards are enough for me. I don't need to read it. They are written very well. So on the actual cards here, you'll have the picture of what's on there, the title, the chakra in this case, the elements in terms of the planetary, astrological, and elemental associations. You've also got symbols there on the side. You've also got a quote here, then the 3 key words, and then obviously a bigger description of the card. So it is well written. It's just a shame that there's an issue here with being able to actually read the writing. So because of this, I just stopped going to the guidebooks because it was too much effort for me to try and squint and read it out. So these are the backs. As you can see, they've got the same pattern. They're just different hues. They've got the gold gilding. It's a soft one though, even though it's shiny on the edges. And the cardstock is that beautiful swishy matte cardstock. So like I said, quality is beautiful. It's just the guidebook was a bit illegible. I think that the creator also might be offering a PDF version as well. I know, like I said, they are completely reprinting the guidebooks, and you can purchase those and just pay for the shipping, not the actual guidebook itself. But, you know, I live in Australia, so shipping is an absolute bitch. And I'm just choosing not to. So I just read these with each other, pretty much. Instead of getting another deck to pair with them, I just did all 3 together. Like I said, the cards offer a lot just as is. So you've got the name up the top. You've got for this one, you've got the chakra. For these 2, you've got the Latin name. And then you've got the elements. So it'll tell you what elements as well. The symbols are over there as well, but they've put it in words across here. Then they've got like what that card pertains to. So this one, enhancing your focus, personal growth and adjustment, reveal secrets and shadows. So that already says quite a bit. And then they've got the keywords down the bottom as well. So like I said, that was enough for me to use the deck without having to go into the guidebook. If I were to only choose one, even though I'm drawn to plants, like I love plants, because I have so many, I probably would have chosen the animal, because I don't actually have a lot of animal decks. And this one is a bit more animals as familiars, but also an energy, the energy of that animal. But yes, the cards too, I find that the background is a bit too dark as well. I think these images would have popped a bit more with a lighter background. But otherwise, I like the way they're formatted. There is a lot of text on them, which normally I don't like that, but because I'm not reading the guidebook, this is handy. So this came in very, very handy. I do feel like energetically, this is a more of a autumnal kind of deck for me. So I don't think it's one that I would be pulling out in the warmer seasons like spring and summer. Oh, I forgot to mention too, the decks also have spread cards within them, which is fantastic. So I did all of them and they are themed, which, you know, gotta love. I love a themed spread. So I did have a lot of fun doing those spreads. But yes, I will be keeping all of them. I just feel like you have a set, you can't like separate a set, and probably just still continuing on to just use them together rather than individually. I just feel like they're a team and they want to be buddies and they want to play together. But this was the Witch's Grimoire Oracle. So those were all of the new decks that came in this month. And like I said previously, if I had to pick my favorite, it would be the Anam Machada out of those. So here we've got some other bags I made for some other decks that I already owned. So, before I get into the deck. So this yarn is Naturally Gallipoli in 82455, and I did it in Suzette stitch, and I made it for my Key to the Kingdom card deck because I wanted something that had primary colors. I wanted the red, the blue, the yellow, the black, the green. So this one also has a bit of purple, but I'm not mad because the deck actually does have some purple in it as well. But I thought it was just the perfect color combo because I just could not be bothered getting it in and out of the box, even though I am keeping the box because this is more of a collector's item for me than something that I'm actively using. But if I'm doing VRs and stuff, and I feel like I want to put this deck in the VR for one of the prompts, I don't want to have to get it out of the box. So I did decide to make a little cozy bag for it for ease of access. So this was the bag that I crocheted for the Key to the Kingdom, which once again was brought to my attention by the fabulous, beautiful Bibi. Okay, and here is this bag, which I'm obsessed with. I really love it. So this is in Townhouse Yarns. I did it in Trinity Stitch. So this particular yarn is a blend of merino, silk, and yak, and it's in the color Gwinan, I think, Gwinan. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but I think it's just so beautiful and it worked out beautifully. So Townhouse Yarns would definitely buy again. And it's my bag for creative consciousness healing. So those are the bags. I just wanted something that had, and I edged mine in that sort of pink purple, that had, you know, all of the blues and purples and pinks and green, teal light colors in it. And so I thought this yarn was absolutely perfect. And I debated for a long time whether or not to make a bag for this deck because I wasn't 100% sure that I was keeping it, but I am now. So as soon as I made that decision, I was like, okay, now it's time for you to get your bag. And yeah, I had the perfect yarn just sitting there waiting for it. So one of probably my favorite bag that I made this particular month as well for this deck. I'm not a huge fan though of the very, very bright like cards. I feel like they stand out. They stand out a bit more than the other ones. Are a bit in my face compared to the darker cards. And this one is definitely like, if I was going to pick one card that stood out the most in terms of different from the other aesthetics, it's this one. But my kids love that one. This is such a beautiful, beautiful deck. Everyone's been singing its praises for a while now. It's a mass market deck, all about healing, and it's got sort of a mushroom, ecological, mystical, cosmic, childlike theme to it. It's just beautiful. But yes, this was all of the decks and the crochet for this month. So until next time, stay wild, Star Child.